Welcome, friends, to Reality Test. What is reality testing, you may ask? Well, it's something we all do every day, maybe with our loved ones over dinner, with coworkers at the water cooler, etc., when we check our subjective or personal emotions, thoughts, and so forth against objective or sort of more agreed upon fact-based reality. Although, because Dr. Ray and I, Dr. Kay, are social constructionists, we don't actually believe there's one true objective reality, but rather our own personal versions of it constructed in the context of relationships. But you get the idea. So here in Reality Test, we're going to be testing the castmate realities and the producer antics of our favorite reality TV shows against what we know as licensed psychologists about the reality out here, off of our TVs. We hope you'll join us as we attempt to reality test. Listen, y'all, we have a lengthy version of our disclaimer in the show description text, also in our old episodes, but we do ethically need to at least include part of it at the start of each episode. So here's our briefest version of the disclaimer. If you've heard it before, you can skip ahead 30 seconds, or for the old episodes, 2 minutes. So although we're licensed psychologists, psychotherapists, supervisors, in the context of our professional roles, we are not acting as therapists in the context of this pod, neither for you nor for the reality castmates we discuss. We will give our opinions as our whole human selves, albeit supported by our psychological knowledge, and we will talk about diagnoses rather than assigning them, as we cannot ethically assign diagnoses without formal psych assessment. But both the opinions and diagnoses we discuss might easily be erroneous, as we don't personally know the folks in reality TV shows. That's it. Thanks, y'all. Now check out our campy theme song.
Are you feeling stressed? Your head's all messed? Well, let's forget all the rest. Fuck it, we're blessed. Cause it's time to talk reality test. Come with us. Let's reality test.
Welcome to Reality Test. I'm Dr. Ray.
And I'm Dr. Kay. Feel free to check in and take a seat wherever you like. We are back in action about Love is Blind Season 8, because now we've built this case about these 4 couples and also bonus couple of Lauren and Dave to then be able to talk about the reunion that was the juiciest of Love is Blind reunion.
It was excellent. There was a lot of tea, a lot of tea. It's 8:30 at night. The words are wording, but it was a blast. I loved watching it, and I loved all the couples who didn't necessarily get engaged who joined. I thought they were a really nice addition to have them as a part of the story, because last season, remember, there were just the weird holes in the plot, and I was like, what the hell happened with these people?
Last season was so weird, and honestly, the reunions have not been that good. Like, it wasn't just the one that was like a cultural moment because it was live, and watching everyone make these hilarious jokes about Netflix not knowing how to do live TV. And I was one of the people that got in or whatever, because not even everyone got in when they finally started working. But it was a very big moment, honestly. But it was terrible that happened. And then it's also like been so much about the Lachey's. Like, they just make it so much about them and like wanting babies and whatever. So I thought this time they did a great job just like removing themselves a little bit from it, being more focused on the folks there, which is really good. I will also just throw in a little disclaimer here that we're now doing it live instead of the pre-recorded hour-long disclaimer. So we are psychotherapists, but not your psychotherapist, nor the psychotherapists of the people we're talking about from reality TV, because we haven't met them and we don't know them personally, so we can't assess them. Therefore, if we talk about diagnosis, it's just really more of like a wondering or like a curiosity, certainly not a real label for anybody. So just have that in mind when you hear what we have to say about the folks that were at the reunion.
Indeed, indubitably.
This was 5 years. 5 years for Love is Blind. First of all, what the fuck? Who cares? Yeah, sorry. It was a wow. You're so positive.
I thought you were going a different direction. I was trying to be supportive.
No, you were being so supportive. It was so sweet. It was really sweet. It's just a little bit of a wow, and it's also a little bit of a what the fuck. Also, just because, especially like it's season 8, like it'd be one thing if it was like also season 5, like it just doesn't really matter enough to me because it just sort of, you know what I mean? It's not like, it doesn't really track with what, I don't know. There's something about it where I just was like, okay, maybe if it was like 10 years, maybe I'd feel differently. I don't know. But 5 just sort of felt like, okay.
10 years, 16 episodes. Because I'm grateful that they're on their little multi-year cycle. It works for me. I want more of this show. It's always fun to watch. But yeah, it's 5 years of Love is Blind is not that deep.
Right. And then doesn't it, because it's multiple seasons a year, doesn't that make you wonder like why it's not 10? Like, why are we on season 8? So there were 2 years that were just one a year, I guess. Maybe the first 2 seasons.
And then they were like, oh, this is working for us. We can make this really cheaply. And though this season they got some real drops. Like the songs were actually real songs. That was a nice change from all the weird fake music.
I loved the music. I didn't need the concert that happened during the reunion. I mean, I didn't not need it.
Yeah.
It wasn't a bad thing, but I didn't need it. It sort of was like the buildup was like our first ever musical performance. Made it sound like A, it would be live. It was not. And then B sounded like it'd be someone I'd know, which it was not. So I just sort of was like, oh, that's a little anticlimactic. I wish they had just said, we're going to have somebody's music video set in the pods. Like, I wish they just called it what it was at the beginning instead of making it sound more fancy. Because then I was just sort of was like, oh, okay, whatever.
The pods also make me sad. They make me think of like a dystopian reality where there's no sunlight. It kind of freaks me out. So I'm not like, ooh, good music video, pods.
Ooh,
but
cool, dude. Yeah, no, it reminds me of like working at the VA when my office had no windows and I was basically in an old closet. It's what it feels like. It's just don't need it. I don't need that kind of oppressive energy.
No, thank you. No, thank you, VA closet.
No.
My friend had that at our internship too. We drew straws, and I got the window. She did not.
That's so good.
We were across from each other, and I was just like, "Oh, that sucks."
I don't know how to help you there. Yeah, it does. It bites. It is hard. Like, and going to a therapist too. Like every therapist I've had, including my current therapist, has always had windows. It's something like like dystopian about being in, and like it's like being at a casino where you don't know what time it is because everything's enclosed.
It's a little weird. And then if it's like hers was, you're so close together because it's just small, and that can get a little weird too.
Schizoid folks do not like that. I had a client who was schizoid who would like literally almost fall back in his chair trying to get away from me, which I was like, I get it, dude. This is not fun. This space is not ideal. Like,
isn't it funny how when you're in a close kind of space with a client, with some clients it feels fine, and with others it's like, this is not enough space between us. It's so weird.
Yeah. I think I read that on their comfort level. Like, I personally don't mind being close to, like, my personal bubble is relatively small, but with clients, obviously I'm respectful of wanting space of their space, but certainly also there's a certain level of like professional amount of space too. But with there's some clients where you can like read on them that they're sort of like, and I'm feeling squished, and then I'm like,
and then you're like,
that's not true now, though. We have these nice offices. We have windows, offices at work. I love my office. And so that's a gift. That's a real privilege. Oh, I just hit my mic. Sorry, guys.
Whoops.
Okay. Listen, we already did our check-ins about this because these were originally going to be one episode of the 6 or 5 couples-ish with Lauren and Dave and the reunion. So we're just segueing right into the reunion here, and we'll continue down that road. And actually, we've already started because we're talking about the some of the things that happened in it. I will say, too, like you brought up, there were other people that came. We haven't talked about Madison or Mason or Megs or Alex.
No, we haven't. And yes, we will get that opportunity. I do have thoughts on some of them. They were interesting little love triangles. But
I do have as a honorable mention right up top on the beginning of it was Daniel's tattoo. So why don't we address that? Because honestly, that's kind of the only thing that matters about Daniel and Taylor, because they are the one couple that got married. I don't have a separate section about them. I think they're super cute together. They seem very happy. And to anyone who didn't see the reunion, Daniel now has a tattoo of Taylor's eyes, but it looks like he like took a picture of her and like cut out a slice of her face because there's still like shaded in strip of skin around the eyes. Oh, it's not like just eyes.
It's so creepy.
So weird.
It's not good. He could have gotten a really creepy edit on this show. I think I said that off mic. Like they laid the groundwork for that with the Instagram thing, which whatever. I don't know if he did or didn't. It's neither here nor there, I guess. But like that and a few other things, like I'm not going to give you a chance to say no. And then the eyes on the chest. Luckily, he's very sweet in a lot of other ways, but yeah, those are kind of 3 character traits that don't make him look awesome.
Not amazing. I will say, like, some of it I think Reese is like insecure and probably related to some of his height insecurity, but the tattoo doesn't. I'm not sure where that is coming from. And I also hope she had a say in it, but he didn't say she did. Like, he didn't say, like, I asked her first, she liked it. I think he might have said she likes it, like, in retrospect, but he definitely didn't say that she knew or didn't know before he did it. He specifically said, I called my tattoo artist. I had an idea. First, he says, when I first met her, that's like all I could think about was her eyes. Not true, because when you really first met her, you said that all you could think about was her, what did I say, lips or something? Because I put it in our notes from last time. All he actually said was about her lips first and smile. So false news, fake news. But he did end up bringing up her eyes. So he said it was all I could think about. So I just had this idea and I called my tattoo artist and he was like, that's a great idea. I would love to do that. I was like, no, he did not. I was like, stop it.
I'll take all your money.
Yeah, exactly. That's way more like what he was thinking, is that he would say yes to anything and at least he can do it, is what he was thinking.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, too much. So I think I said on the last pod too, like the one way I will be on board with this, or maybe this was off mic, is that is if he also like adds other facial features to it over time, because just sitting by itself, like a strip of eyes, is like the most perturbing thing. Right on his chest, like it wasn't even on his heart, right? It was on his right side.
No.
It wasn't even on his heart.
It was so weird. And imagine laying on a chest, looking into your own eyes. That looks so weird. Like, that's not sexy. That's not fun.
Especially like looking like it's cut out of a magazine.
Maybe he has the fetish, or one of them has the fetish that the Walter Goggins, Sam Rockwell. Did you see White Lotus this week?
Of course. And that was incredible. That was an incredible scene. The Walter Goggins facial reactions were just out of this world. But so was Sam Rockwell. I mean, he was phenomenal. I was so good. Maybe I want to rail myself and be her and rail me.
So maybe that's what's happening. There's I want to watch myself watching you.
Yeah, I want to watch you watch yourself on my chest while we fuck. Yes. Oh my God, that's incredible. Thank you for that reference. You're exactly right. That's got to be it.
That's what it is. We solved it.
And that's why he didn't want to tell us she had a say in it, because he didn't want to out her for her fetish.
Yeah, that was very good of him. So we support fetishes on the pod, and you do you, literally.
Do you, baby? That's great. That's so good.
Oh my gosh.
That's so good. I love it. That's so true too. It's a little bit reminiscent of that, because there is something congratulatory about having. I honestly, I have to say, I was thinking about like, if my husband said to me, I want to do this, like, because, it's like flattering, I imagine, I still think I would say no. I really do. I think I'd be like, please do not do that. Like, please don't. Not because I might not be your wife one day, but because like, I don't want that on you. I don't want to be looking at my own eyes on your chest. I really don't think I do.
No. If my partner did it somewhere funny, like on his butt, I might be okay with it, but it's like
for the
chest
humor.
it's like, then it's kind of a bit, but that wasn't a bit. That was very serious and sincere and weird.
Meant to be romantic.
But, yeah. Oh,
you know what I did like,
Daniel,
on the topic of tattoos, was Dave's, that he had his mom's handwriting tattooed on him, which I love. I don't like, the words made a lot of sense, by the way, that like one thing he got was proud of you, which is like, I think says a lot about his own stuff or his mommy stuff. But I do think that it was in her handwriting was amazing. I have a necklace that is with my dad's handwriting that says much love after he died. So like, I really love that idea, and that made me think about my next tattoo. So I was like, okay, all right, good thinking.
Oh, that's adorable.
And now there's proof that it was related to Dave. Damn it. I'm just kidding. It was me first. I had the necklace first. I've had the necklace longer.
Yes. Longer than you've known about Dave.
Exactly. Oh, too funny. Okay. Well, I think that's enough on the tattoo. Certainly on Daniel and Taylor, who are happy campers. I will say it's cute that, for example, his dad is staying with her brother because he lives close to the hospital, because I guess Daniel's mom also got diagnosed with a rare cancer. So that's extremely sad. And then his dad is living with her brother at an apartment, which I think is so cute. Like, I love that. I love that idea of just the fact they're already integrated. So cute.
Very sweet.
Seems real. Seems lasting. So Devin and Virginia are the first couple we're going to talk about from Reunion. Actually, these are in order. So they were the first they talked to after Daniel and Taylor. So Devin and Virginia, I just couldn't do it. Nick Lachey, first question, asks Virginia why her opinion changed between seemingly wanting to marry him and then not wanting to at the altar. I was like, what? You could see my notes. I was like, why? Are we asking why Virginia didn't want to get married? What are we doing? I'm pretty sure she fucking made it super clear. Like, her testimonial was so on point. She was so clear about it. It was so obvious to me. I was like, yep, that all makes sense. Tracked. Great. We're done. Done here. As soon as they had the conversation in bed about their political views, I was like, we're done here. I don't think we're doing this. It's not going to work. In my opinion, obviously I'm biased about that. Listen to our last podcast where I have a whole spiel about it, but I definitely think it's just too tough. It's too tough. It's too personal. So, and the political is personal is political. So, sure enough, she kind of goes back there and she says, for example, she's like, well, I'm not going to speak on Devon's politics, but I can tell you what mine are. Right. So then immediately we're like clued into the fact that whatever hers are not his. And she talks about a number of groups and having Muslim friends and religious freedom and so forth. Clearly he's more religious. And I think to the extent that his family might believe in like one true religion. So that's tough. I think also her point was like sort of like a lack of openness to xenophobia, like a lack of openness to to people who are people with difference, and therefore like a xenophobia, I think is sort of what she was tapping into there. So she also said we got there emotionally, but not politically. She also brought up sexual. Didn't she say that or no? Did she say it like sexually? We weren't quite there yet either.
I don't remember that. But yeah, I know it came up a couple times.
Yeah.
Because interestingly, this wasn't as sexual as a season, or at least not as openly sexual, which maybe that's just Midwest shit.
I was going to ask that exact question. I've been wanting to ask you that. Is that like do you think that's cultural relevant? Like we had talked about how I thought that, erroneously thought that Utah was part of the Midwest. So I was imagining like Mormon influence where like definitely you don't have sex before marriage. Certainly Catholicism, you're not supposed to. So like I understand if that was an element, but it was pretty clear even with Daniel and Taylor, who didn't have sex before they got married, that it wasn't a religious thing. It was just like it just sort of seemed to like make sense for them. Like I think it was more cultural really. So I was wondering if you could tell me more about like Midwestern values and how that might interact.
I think women were taught like if you have a lot of sex, then people won't want to, that you're not like wife material.
Marriable.
It's kind of that. And I doubt that any of these women have that implicitly or explicitly, but maybe there's some implicit bias there with that where they're like, well, we're wives, so we have to take it very slow and not give it away too quickly or whatever. I could imagine that maybe being the message or thought, or maybe they talked in both sides of the pause and were like, we're not going to be open about that. And we want to be respectful, which would be really cool. Maybe a combination of both, but I don't know. I really think before you marry someone, you really want to get in there, literally.
I think so too. That's definitely my bias. I definitely think you test drive the car, but that also includes living together too. Like, I don't think I would marry someone I hadn't lived with yet. There's just too much of yourself that gets known from that if you didn't know that ahead of time could be like a real tough thing to get over. And you'd feel like you have to, especially in certain cultures where like you also don't believe in divorce. Like then you're stuck with whatever you get in there with.
Right. Woof. Yeah, I don't think I could do that. No way.
No, ma'am. I guess like, is there a world in which I could ask enough questions to know verbally that I could be aligned with someone sexually? Sure. Like I think there's like a series of questions like, are we going to be communicative? Like, are you going to take time to like make sure you know what my needs are and make sure you meet my needs? Are we going to be able to see this as like not one person gets off? Like, like how patriarchal are you in your sexual behaviors? Like there are certain questions I could ask and get answers to where I'd be like, this feels aligned, but you don't know that. And like plenty of people know what to say, right? Like they'll probably be like, of course, like, and then like get in there and they're like, what? Like, and so it's not really something you can believe, frankly. I don't think I could believe. I'd have to see it to believe it in terms of habits. So, yeah. And also you want to know if like the chemistry is not even right. Like you could get the ick, like, I don't know. That feels very
quickly. Oh, totally. I've done enough online dating to know like people can say some great, really cute things and then you meet them and then maybe things happen or don't. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, I thought we were such a fit. And then no, not in any way. And yeah, they might have the pretty words, especially those leftist boys. They'll get you. My friends in DC. Ramses. Yeah, Ramses. Yeah, exactly. A great example of someone who knows the right things to say and is very cute.
And ultimately is very selfish in the bedroom.
So. Yup. Rough. Rough.
You say your friend from DC?
Oh, yes. My friend from DC who was dating a lot, who just those leftist men, they know what to say. But when you actually want to have a conversation about where things are at, it's all of a sudden they can't do it. But yeah.
That's so bad. You know what that reminds me of is like there's still this Protestantism in New England, especially like but whatever, probably whatever. In general, our culture is pretty repressed, but certainly Protestantism is like really repressed. And there's this like boys club thing where it's like really much more about men getting their nut. It like honestly has so much to do with that. And like women aren't even really taught to like ask or want that by the sexual partnerships that happen in adolescence, because boys are not taught to value that, which is changing, I think, over time. But it definitely is like something where there's a lot of like frat guy culture stuff where it just like has nothing to do with women getting pleasure. It's fucking wild. And then there are plenty of people who do care about that. So it's not, that's a generalizability, but certainly there's like, yeah, plenty of leftist men who fall into that like frat boy, like Ivy League, you know, who like got taught that like everything happens that they want to have happen. And therefore just like that same thing with women. So.
Ugh.
Garbage.
Men,
garbage.
be better.
Garbage.
Be better. And don't be biphobic.
Well, and here's a shout out to all the men who do like to give back and not just receive, and you know, do like women to be having pleasure, you know, like women enough to want them to have pleasure. Here's a shout out to you. Good for you. Thank
Who
God
have
for you.
basic empathy for another human's experience. Wow.
Yeah,
You know?
reciprocity. What do you mean? Equity,
Yeah.
reciprocity, couldn't be.
Whoa. Mind blowing.
Facts. So we go, she's like, Devin says, I can look past certain things and not agree on everything, where she couldn't. Like, he's implying like he's okay with like not having to be perfect, but like she can't. Like, he's basically calling her intolerable, which is fucked. It's like, bro, you were not really okay with those things. So much so she said she was protecting you. Like, she felt like she couldn't even go there with you because she knew you didn't want to have a conversation about it, because you didn't want to be embarrassed that you know nothing about politics, didn't vote, don't know about, you know, like that you would be conservative and not think about how your race factors in, and not think about how your faith factors in, because you apparently think you can't be liberal and also Christian or Catholic. So that was
tough.
wild. He also didn't know. So there was another question. This was the fucking, again, from the Lachey's, where they say to Virginia, well, you knew some of these things along with the process. So was there something that between the prenup and the wedding that happened? Because why would you sign a prenup if you weren't going to get married? Which is like crazy to me. Like, she was thinking, if I end up saying yes, I should have a prenup just in case. Like, I don't think that's even a real question. That's fucked. I like literally couldn't with these questions. But it turned out they were sort of fishing, because she tells us a story about the fact she found a note on his bedside table that was written by an ex-girlfriend, whom he was like, no, she's like a best friend. So like, I don't even think of her as an ex-girlfriend. She's an ex-girlfriend. Let's be real. She still is one, you know? And so she was a little worried about that, because he didn't tell her about it, and he didn't tell her about seeing her. So how did he get this letter, frankly? Night before the wedding. So that's wild. And then she also tells us that his mom told her there was a check for $1,000. And she was like, oh, my boss gave you $1,000 for your big day. And she was like, okay. And then waited to see if he would bring it up, and he never does. He tries to say like, well, I just didn't think it would matter until we got there. It's like, no. You didn't want her to know about it because you didn't want to have an argument about it if you didn't end up getting married, and you didn't want her to feel like entitled to any part of that. And frankly, I bet you might not have still, maybe wouldn't have brought it up. But certainly I think he was like holding out, because it's like, well, that's my part of the like family, you know, just in case something didn't go down, he wouldn't want to split it, which I think actually kind of makes a little bit of sense, but still,
I
like,
do
be
too.
honest. Yeah.
Yeah. I honestly, I think if I got a check from $1,000 to split with my person, and I didn't know if they were going to say yes, and it was from my side of the family, I would be like, we'll see what happens on the day. But Andy should have told her about it.
I would tell her.
Yeah.
I would be like, listen, I got $1,000 from my mom's boss. I'm so happy to tell you about it now, because I'm thinking we're getting married. But just so you know, I'm going to hold on to it. If we do decide to say no, like, I don't think it's really fair that we would split it. So I just want to let you know I have it, but it's ours if we want to use it as a nest egg. And otherwise, that's okay, but I'm going to keep it.
Right.
Or give it back. Yeah.
Exactly. I do think that makes sense, but
yeah.
It
was the lack of communication. It's ultimately stealing is what it looks like, you know?
Yeah.
It's what it looks like to, I mean, like, that's what one of my podcasts, the one with 2 Black women, they literally like, he's stealing from her. I'm like, that is kind of fair, but it is only because he lied. So then she brings home all sorts of gifts and asks for his help bringing it upstairs. And he literally was like, what? Like, can't you get that? And then he finally comes down and helps her, and then goes, you could have gotten that. I would be pissed. And he came out with that activity that close to when they first started being engaged. I was like, wow, it only goes downhill from here, clearly. Like, that's not even his mean side yet. Like, so my husband and I both were like, what? Like, my husband would never, not for the life of him. He would, like, get mad at me if I brought my own in. He'd be like, no. Like, and not to say that, that's also has some sexism stuff wrapped up in it. But there's also a world in which, like, having a little bit of, like, respect for the fact she especially has to go up flights of stairs with a lot of stuff
Right.
in her arms, doesn't matter how much it is. If she's asking for help, you come help.
Absolutely. Yeah, especially when she's asking. Like, maybe help her anyway, just as a person who cares about your partner. But,
Exactly. That's really where it comes from with my husband. It's just like out of like wanting to be helpful and be kind, not out of like not seeing me as capable. I think that's part of why I was like able to shift some of my views about it, because at the beginning I was like no, like and still I'm actually quite strong and I do a lot of stuff that shocks the fuck out of him because I have plenty of skills and strengths, but it's still in some cases I'm like, that's nice, whatever, I'm happy to have your help, like I don't need, so especially if it's something you've agreed upon and talked about, I think it can look a different way. If it's something where he's like, I don't have that part of me because my back hurts, I have chronic pain and I can't do an extra flight of stairs, that's a great conversation to have, and then she has an understanding of it. Like, all of these things can be negotiated. The problem with traditional gender roles is when they aren't being communicated about and they're not being, then it's like, right, that's part of what makes them oppressive and an issue and sexist. So these two came up to me very drunk, asking all about my business. Okay, so then it comes out that Devin essentially said that he broke up with her, but then the girls came up to him and talked to him about it, and it turned out really that she broke up with him. And so like then there's this whole thing happening about him like sort of lying about that to it was Madison and Molly, right?
I think so, yeah. I kind of tuned that part out because I had lost interest in
it. Was at the end. It was at the end of their bit. It was at the end of their business there. But yeah, I mean, he also kind of like tried to defend himself by being like, there was this whole thing that was like my family versus her family, which I get, right? They're from different cultural backgrounds. I can feel that from both of the way that they were raised too, and then certainly we know politically they're different. So I can see that there might have been a little bit of like touchiness about differences across the aisle, if you will, different kind of across the aisle, but also that across the aisle. There was a little bit of differences there, but it's not enough. It's not fair to like, it just felt like he was reaching to like put it back on her or like make it seem like it was his decision, which probably came out of insecurity. So understandable. Still, I was so impressed by her. She looked phenomenal. She came out and she explained it all to us very clearly. I felt like I had a full picture of it. So I appreciated her honesty about it. And her strength.
I agree. It was very helpful. Yes. Yeah. It's very different than other seasons where it's like, what the fuck happened here? I'm so confused.
Yeah. And I still didn't appreciate the Lachey's fucking questions, but I still felt like she did a great job handling them. I think there's other ways. Like, I understood they were trying to get at what they ended up getting at, but I just think there are other ways to do that than to make it seem like she wasn't already open about that shit. Like, it made it seem like she hadn't told us already what was going on. I was sort of like, were you listening?
Yeah, it was kind of accusatory. Like, didn't you learn about this in the pods? What's wrong with you? Yeah. But what about him? I don't know. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Thank you. Thank you for understanding.
Of course. So now we're on to Sarah and Ben, who, gosh, we learned some things about our friend Ben in this little time. He started off with a very scripted acknowledgement of his privilege. I was like, okay. And then quickly showed how little, in my opinion, I mean, I'm sure a part of him does want to work on his whiteness, maybe. But I think what I heard from him after that, I was like, I don't.
None of it was backed up.
Yeah.
It immediately fell apart. I also felt like you're so right about it being scripted. And also the way he was like front and center with it. He starts right off with it. He's like, well, I just want to be really clear. Like, I know that like I have some issues and I need to learn. And it's like, okay, first of all, just the way you rushed into that feels performative, like feels like you're patching using a Band-Aid. And it also felt like a way of like discrediting anything she would go on to say. Like, the whole thing, I was just like, this is not and also his language wasn't great anyway. Like, it still was not even a good scripted, like it just, and then he undid it quite a bit. So yeah, I totally agree. Performative is exactly the word.
I just want to acknowledge my feelings about that community, as he called them. So many fucking times. Weird guy.
Very.
And so, and then Sarah says she's not an expert and that she was like showing humility, I think, in her approach, which I really think she's passionate about being better about race, about sexual orientation. I could tell she made a slip up at one point I can't remember what it was, with her sister and her partner. And she had like a moment of fragility, which was so relatable. She was like, oh, they were at the bar together. It was like, oh my gosh. And then the sister's girlfriend kind of took care of her a little bit. And I was like,
I think it was about acceptance.
That's right. Yeah. Oh yeah, more than accept. It should be more than acceptance. And she's like,
well, that's just the word I have. She's like, well, I just have that word because I was told that word. Like, that's just the word I know. Like, sort of did that thing. Like, she got a little defensive about it. Like you're saying, fragile about it. And then the partner was like, no, it's not. It's like, look, it's okay that you're using it. I'm just saying, like, the church shouldn't be. Even when the church says they're accepting, is like they shouldn't be accepting. It's like this is just, or they should be embracing and celebrating.
Right. Absolutely. Agreed. Like they would any other relationship. But yeah, so I think she really is learning and on a journey and doing great stuff.
Great points.
Yes. And then she talked about the church views on LGBTQ plus issues, and she was not impressed. Her like whole body language and vibe in that church cracked me the fuck up. It was so funny.
So good. She was like, not about it. And her point too is like, it's not even that he had, like, she knows we're all human. We know we make mistakes. She certainly makes mistakes too. She's no expert, but also like, it's the lack of curiosity, bro. And like, that is the thing. That is so the thing.
I loved that. I loved how she said that. I thought she hit the nail on the head.
She's getting all that flack for not being accepting. Oh, liberals, you're a liberal, but your liberals are the ones that are not accepting. It's like, that's not even actually what's happening at all there. Like at all. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. And then she was very accepting of the TikTok video that he weirdly didn't tell her about. It was weird. He didn't, like, she should have, did we talk about this last time?
Oh.
I can't remember. It was so weird. I was like, this whole thing smells awful right now.
Yeah.
Because he didn't even, like, tell her. He let it come out and then was like, oh yeah, that happened earlier and I just blocked her. And I'm like, this is fishy as fuck. Like, this is fishy. It was
fishy.
And
he was
the
like, that's about me. She didn't even know it was about him. Yeah, I feel like. And then he was like, oh yeah, I think that's about me. And she's like, okay, what? Say more? Or that was staged. I don't know, but it was so weird.
So weird. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. They should have I mean, she had to have her journey. I get it. That to me was like this guy is not it.
It's like, get the fuck out of there. Especially because he said he doesn't remember, which is just not it for me. I'm not having it. Then why'd you block her? If you didn't remember what happened anyway, why would you block her? Why would you think it's about you if you don't remember? She might have slept with someone else. It's Minnesota small or whatever. And then the thing I do give her props about was the fact she was like, listen, anything else, I'm just not going to trust you. She wasn't like, you're an animal, like, blah, 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 blah. She was like, if there's anything else, I just won't trust you. Like that was, I thought, well handled as the point that she was making there.
Mm-hmm. And then there was a weird thing where they were good. They like kept dating and he said he was going to come to Nashville with her and just didn't. And then sent her a very scripted text and then decided to go to Jimmy and get some advice on how to handle their relationship. Bad choice.
Jimmy.
Yeah. And then let's see. Yeah. Lands on a point about how inauthentic Ben was, which I think is what we were picking up on. Just none of it seemed very real.
Exactly.
And he had social media calling cards after sleeping with women. That is wild for his YouTube channel.
So wild. Bad. So bad. So makes sense. You have a do you have a segment there?
Oh, I do. What was I? I thought more people would talk about his whole shtick and how fucking scripted and cringe he sounded. And I don't really think it came up that much. At least I didn't see it.
No. And really, it's like Jimmy probably gave him even a lot of that. Like, he probably was like, come up with a few lines that you feel comfortable saying. Like, think about the questions. Because he did tell him to practice the questions with Sarah, which is effed up and wild. I also feel like, the whole advice piece was fucking bizarre. I think he felt embarrassed that it was Jimmy. I don't think he was trying to protect Jimmy. I think he realized how dumb it would sound if he said he got that advice from Jimmy. And I loved that Sarah called it out. That was incredible. And then the other thing I just wanted to mention quickly was like one of his scripted answers was when she was like, I asked him about the LGBTQ plus stuff in his church. And he says, well, yeah, but like, I just didn't remember because like, why would I remember if it doesn't apply to me? I don't know anybody who, basically what he said. And I loved Daniel's fucking face because then I was like, okay, good. Daniel gets it just by his face alone because his face was so skeptical. I was like, right? Like, that is not a good answer, sir. Not a good answer. Plenty of things don't relate to you that you should be learning about. Get out of here. So
have empathy for other humans about.
please God.
Or
So
be curious.
right, that's all the
Anything.
curiosity. It's the curiosity. It's the asking about it. It's wanting to know more about her like inner working and like the way she thinks and what she's interested in. And she brought that up too, that it's like not even just about the values. It's like who I am, like wanting to know more about me, which I don't get that vibe from him either, like at all.
I think that she was the intellectual in that relationship, and I don't know that she wanted to be necessarily. I think she maybe wants someone who is thinking about things the way she is and can have more nuanced conversations.
Exactly.
And, yeah. It seems like they had a playful sort of thing going on, but I don't know. I didn't find him that playful.
No. Yeah, I think we missed some of that because she did describe them that way. And and you're right, like we'd see little moments of it for a second but she was like, he's so funny. Like, I know I need humor and he's so funny. And she's like, I love him. You know, there's a lot of things that she seemed really rose-colored glasses about him a little bit, which makes sense with the honeymoon phase. But I also think we were missing some of that because all we really saw was just how not attuned he was, you know?
Yeah. Zoinks.
Zoinks is right. So going into Monica and Joey, you shouldn't have to ask someone to touch you and be near you. I was embarrassed of myself that I didn't see this man was into me. So Monica's saying that obviously about Joey. And he does say, like, I feel like we couldn't get out of the friend zone. That's fair. And he says the big reason for me was her sister because family is my number one. Well, so like I brought up last time, like, I don't think it's just because family's his number one. I think it's also because, and he does say that they both aligned on saying their sister was their best friends. So, like, I think he saw that looking a certain way based on how he is with his sisters. So when she wasn't the same way, or even though she's not the same way, he thought that her sister not liking him was the end all be all. Whereas for her, I think she was like, I don't need my sister to be on board. Like, but for him, I think he did feel that way about his sisters. So he applied it to her and therefore it felt like a deal breaker. I actually do believe he might have felt like it was a deal breaker. I don't believe that's why they were in the friend zone. I actually don't. I think it's unrelated to the sexual chemistry. I think it's related to why they didn't stay together potentially, but I don't think the sexual chemistry was related to that. That felt much more about, like I mentioned last time too, that like for him, I think having sisters, he like is a certain way about sex already and not wanting to overstep at all. So that then when her insecurity a little bit, like learning to love her body, I guess is how I put it, which I stand by, like her being in a phase of learning to love her body, that they just didn't mesh well like that. And that they were like very bro-y. They were very like bro-y with each other, I felt. So he's like, you're blaming her sister. I said, you're blaming her sister, but maybe her sister saw your lack of commitment. Oh, no, that's what they said. I like that, Lachey. Okay.
I loved that.
Okay.
I was like, that was a good Lachey moment for me. I was like, thank you, Nick Lachey. Like, thank you for stepping up a little bit. He had one other moment like that I liked later on where I was like, okay, good job. Good job, you.
Exactly that. There were two interpretations. I totally agree. He had two interpretations where I was like, I'll allow it. That's very well put. And like maybe coached itself, but I was like, I'm really right in there with that. That's fantastic. And it's non-shaming and non-blaming. It's great awareness raising. Perfect. So nailed it with that. And he says, so do you think that you were transparent? And he says, she says, looking back, I was being emotional and he was jumping around. Like looking in the video, watching the video of him like jumping around in the room in preparation where she was really emotional. So they were on different pages about it, and that's fair. So you have a segment about this next part. Do you want to explain the part too?
Yes. I wish people knew more about. I actually feel differently about this after our conversation last week. You might be right in your interpretation where that like their shared sort of trauma stuff and having sisters and stuff might have played a lot more in their friends thing. For me, it was my perception was that he wasn't into her physically and that he just couldn't be honest with her about that. And he had like billed himself as this golden retriever. But after we talked last week, I was like, maybe that's not the whole story there. But I was just thinking about the nice guy trope and how like the golden retriever energy. Oh, I'm just a nice guy. Yes, he was also pretty emotionally unavailable, at least in the parts that we saw. He did not really have a lot of deep conversations about their relationship. And I think that sucks. That sucks for her. I felt for her because I really felt like she liked him more than he liked her. And then as I watched him more, I didn't perceive him as bro-y at first, but as they went on, I was like, is he just one of those dudes who thinks he's like a 12 and like thinks that, you know, this beautiful woman isn't good enough for him. And then that annoyed me. And so that's where I was coming from. But I think there's probably more to it than that. And also, I love his OCD representation. And I think he has a complicated life. And I didn't love the way he treated her.
Yes. Yes. And all of the yeses. Exactly. Snaps, snaps, snaps. I totally agree. I would say like the most atrocious thing that he did, in my opinion, was this piece with Madison, where it turned out after the tubing date, he slid into another castmate's DMs. And even the way he said he texted her was different from what Madison told us he said. So he told us, he said, "It was good seeing you. I like your pink hair." Like thinking that's like funny, like your pink hair, like whatever. And she read back like directly, which you know was correct because he didn't even deny it. And she said that he said, "Loving the pink hair. Wish we could have talked more." That is different.
That is flirty as fuck, y'all.
Totally
that
different.
is a flirty text.
You know that person is trying to get into your pants and or at least your conversational pants, because that is totally different than good seeing you, like your hair. Good seeing you, like your hair is like end of story that can get wrap up in 1 or 2 comments. Wishing we could have talked more means let's talk. Let's talk right now.
Yeah, and your hair is hot and I think you're hot.
I'm already saying love. I'm already saying love to you, whereas I can't even tell Monica I love her.
Yep. I have love for you. Damn.
Mm-hmm.
Not cool, bro. Not cool.
So that really got to me.
Fuckboy
I was
move.
like, yeah, exactly. That was a moment, but it's a rookie fuckboy move. It's rookie as fuck, you know? And so like that to me showed me, I think he's like super rookie move. I think it shows me that like he was like one of those guys who was like, he even brought up that he was homeschooled, right? And that he had like these weird outfits. He went to school and was like, "What am I wearing? Baby shorts, blah, blah, blah." And he's like, "But the good news is football saved me." Okay. So he got indoctrinated and like sort of like wrapped up in the jock world, right? Like, and the jocks are like the popular ones at school. And so like he learned about being popular from jocks, learned about it late in life, like when he finally joined public school later, and therefore had it like patched on to something else that was already there. And so like he's sort of like learning late in the game how to like be sort of a fuckboy, is my opinion of it. And therefore is also kind of playing catch up. And I think he's like still trying to get used to this idea of like being popular even now. And so like, especially now that he's been on TV, he has all these new ways of being popular, seen as popular by other people. Like, or maybe seen as attractive. So he's still going to do the same thing. He's still going to have that same, like, sort of like later in life, finding out you're liked and playing with that idea, or like he must want it even more, is basically what I'm saying, because he like didn't have it for very long, got a taste of it by being a football player, and now is trying his hand at it. And the fact that he would go for Madison because he thinks she's hotter while he is still with Monica is so effing offensive. It's wild. So I think
Just wait till you say no.
Literally.
Then you're not a dick. I mean, you still will be seen as an asshole, but it's a different level.
It's a different level of asshole. Exactly that. It's a little less assholey. And I will say it also is disrespectful of Madison. Massively disrespectful of Madison. Because then Madison, that means that you think Madison would be willing to fuck around with you and not tell Monica. Even if just chatting by Instagram. And then, so then a whole argument happens with where we hear between Joey and Monica that then they had a conversation about Madison, and that he even told Monica, "I think Madison was hitting on me." Okay. And so I'm pretty sure that was like, exactly, the whole thing again was to make Monica jealous of him, like, you know, or her and so forth, create this sort of rift. I think it also then gives him permission to be like, "Oh, you saw my text, but well, she texted me," or like, you know, it sort of allows for like some additional energy to be around that. I bet he was also like so giddy about whatever it was, seeing her at the bar. He was so giddy about it that he wanted to be able to talk about it, but he knew the only way he could talk about it with Monica is if he made it about her liking him, not him liking her. That feels so rookie to me. It feels so rookie fuckboy, and I bet that's what he was doing. He like got caught up in it and wanted to talk about it with Monica and like be gushy about it, but couldn't really do it with her because they're buddies, they're bros. Like he would do that, you know?
Oh,
so
fuck.
That's my conceptualization on it. So Monica was like, "Whatever. I had nothing to do with it. I wouldn't have mentioned Madison if you had it." Madison even asked him, and he said Monica had been talking about it, and we're all like, "No, she wasn't." So I love that Madison was a girl's girl all the way through on this. This was fantastic. Mm-hmm. I loved Molly having Madison's back throughout this too, by the way. Yeah. And then she asks him, how could she possibly come to the conclusion that I was on your radar? Like, how could she even possibly come to thinking about me? And he goes, "Oh, well, maybe it was a joke." Oh, So maybe like jokingly
joke.
brought me up. Like, get out of here. Rookie fuckboy all day long. Rookie fuckboy.
Weird.
That's like what I'm going to call him that from now on. Honestly, there are things, again, like you mentioned, like there are things that make a lot of sense to me about Joey and about how he was with Monica. But at this point, at the stuff around Madison, that is childish behavior. It is childish bro behavior. And I will have none of it. None of it. I'm honestly, whatever. He's fine. He just needs to grow up is all it is, really. He needs more relationships before he should get married. That's for sure.
Give him 5 years. He might be a different guy. He might be really lovely.
Exactly.
Not there
yet. He has a lot of lovely traits. Yeah, he has a lot of lovely traits. He's just not ready yet. Like, he's so other-centered around his family, like taking care of other people, that he hasn't developed his sense of self yet enough. So then that comes across as selfish once he starts to do it, because he needs to do that. He needs to be a little selfish to learn who he is. So it's going to come across that way, and childish as well, because it's a little bit late in development to do that. They agree they're good to just be humans on this earth together, and that's okay. And he said, I'll absolutely accept that. I didn't feel like this was a you say no and it's dating anyway. Like, yeah, so then we're back to the same old thing, and this is the end of it, but now we're back to the same old fucking thing that he did at the fucking altar, where he's like, well, yeah, like, it's fine that we're humans on earth together, because I would think that too. Like, you know, it's like he has to have also been the one to say it.
So childish. We get it. You said it was very clear. You do a lot more for yourself by not talking about it, because you just look like a dick, honestly.
You look like a dick. We all know you were not in for it. The point is, she's getting her power back right now, and you're taking it back away from her when she's trying to get it back from you to begin with. Sit your patriarchal ass down. Yes. Literally.
Let her have it. Be respectful. Be an adult.
Yes. Yeah. So same sort of insecurity. Early days wasn't popular, became popular later, and still didn't fully get the same level as his popular friends. And so he's still a little bit insecure, still trying to figure out what his worth is in women, with women, and sex. And so, you know what? I won't say that. I have some assumptions about how he is sexually too, but I won't.
Probably not great.
Not great. Not very giving.
I was going to say something even meaner, and I'll just keep it to myself.
We'll just hold there. We'll hold there. And you know what's great is because now we're going to talk about Dave and Lauren. And Dave is another one where it's sort of like, not sure how he is sexually either. Yeah.
Yeah. I am not sure what his sexual journey is. I hope he figures it out for himself and finds some happiness in whatever it is. Yeah. Dave and Lauren, shit show. It was funny because his sister was very concerned about like him showing her in a bad light or being showed in a bad light.
And then it turned out she was sad for Lauren. Like, and I don't know if that's true, but like he kind of was like, they were like, so how did she react when she saw Lauren? He was like, she was really sad for her. I was like, dude, I bet that's true too. I bet she honestly was like, whoa, bro, like how can like he kind of made her look bad. He didn't just be shown in a bad light. He made his sister look terrible. Yes.
That's so true. And she actually was having empathy for it. And it might have been like just a bunch of excuses on his part. I really think Dow Half protests too much. He talked a lot about this person or that person just wanting to be on TV. I think that's his MO.
I agree.
I wish the producers, I didn't feel like there was enough on what a bag of dicks he was. Like I think I wish producers would have highlighted how weird and stiff and awkward they were. I was glad I was glad she brought it up, like how kind of weird their conversations seemed, and she watched it back and she realized like how not in it he was.
Exactly.
I would watch them on screen and I'd be like, what? There's no chemistry between these two people. He's strange. Like, what's going on here? I felt confused watching them.
Yeah. He felt to me like almost like because of religious reasons or because of how he was raised or something, that he's another one where I was like, this guy has had no sexual like experience or like sexual awakening or sexual freedom, or he's definitely seemed again very childlike. And I mentioned last time that there's some trauma there with losing his mom, and I believe he's the age that she got sick, which was 10 years prior to when she died, and she died 5 years ago or something like that. So I think he was like early teens that like he got stuck developmentally at, and it feels that way still for sure.
Sure does. I also put this something we mentioned previously, because for him, once he found out that she had been in a sort of sexual relationship with one of his semi-friends, he like totally devalued her. And so it really felt like that Madonna whore thing that we've seen again and again on these dating shows. And it felt like after that, she was literally wearing the scarlet letter. That's like she had to explain herself again and again. And I felt so bad for her.
That was trash. That was trash.
Yeah, it was so bad. And that's another moment where Nick Lachey, I think he said something like, can we all agree that, like, what did he say? It was so good.
Yes.
Did you put it in the notes?
Yeah.
I missed it.
No, I don't think I did. And you're so right. He said, he was basically, well, one thing was like, I think was that what led to Lauren saying, I'm light years ahead of you in emotional maturity? Is that what it was?
Probably.
Something about that? Can we all agree that, like, you got in your own way or something like that? Like, I think it was something about, maybe it was about him introducing them. Yeah. Good.
I think it was also something about someone can sleep with someone a few weeks before and then fall in love like a few weeks. It was something like that too.
Yes, you can still get engaged and not have it be a problem. You can have sex with someone and not over them. Like, you can be over them enough to get engaged a month later.
Yeah. And if it were a man, I don't even think this would be discussed or an issue. I think it would have been
that has
buried.
Happened, and it hasn't been.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it's so mind-blowing that it's a woman who I think maybe he perceived as, like, to use his words, a good girl. Like, she has a very sweet voice. She's got her shit together. She's like,
she's got all
vibes. Those. Yeah, exactly. She kind of does, TBH. And I don't think he wanted to see that from his mom vibes lady.
No.
And
no.
Yeah.
He like said that about her too, and then so like he thought of her as like the sweet choice, whereas he thought of Molly as like the slutty choice for in his mind, like his thinking. So he thought by going with Lauren, he wasn't getting the other part of it, which he like fantasized about with Molly, but then was like, okay, I'm going with the wholesome one. It's like, actually, you know what? We all contain multitudes, and actually, no woman is any of these paragons. Thank God. Like, I don't even know. That's so fucking one-dimensional, any of it. So, like, our stereotypes are so damaging, and he was so wed to that, like, imagery that then, yeah, I totally agree. I think he was thrown by the fact she was more complicated than that. And also that, like, he's like, I can't get over the idea someone was in your bed. I think also because he can't relate. Like, I think he also had not been like that, and that was confusing, and that he didn't want to ruin that image of him having been an athlete. He didn't want people to think he wasn't just as sexual, so he never really admitted that. Like, he didn't really admit that, like, part of what's different is just, like, I kind of, like, maybe he's jealous or, like, doesn't understand it. Like, you know, he's just so early in development, I think. What she said.
I think he was also bothered by, like, she kind of put this guy to the side. Like, I think that, like, she was in the power position of that situation, which was also cool. I loved it all for her. I think it's, like amazing points for her, and just like he couldn't handle it. He literally said the reason he wanted to meet someone was because his friends were. Like, he doesn't have a nuanced perspective of being in a relationship. He wants someone to have kids with because that's what his friends are doing, and that's his image matters to him.
Exactly. And he wants to test his integrity and test his shallowness and test his, it's like all really selfish and not really about being in a bi-directional relationship or really falling in love or really learning about himself. Frankly, it's about testing, not learning. It's about, right, it's like about having someone, not loving someone. Damaging behavior. And poor Lauren, like, really, to get wrapped up in that and his childish antics sucks. Didn't deserve that, neither did Molly. But yeah, there's also the other thing I was thinking about. Like, we had talked about, you know, how he has this something sexual journey going on for him that he needs to figure out. That I would say, like, even if, let's say, he is heterosexual, I think it's possible that he's homo-romantic. like, I think he loves men. Yeah. Like, at least friendship wise, and certainly maybe even romantically. Like, I mean, certainly friendship wise, but maybe even romantically, because I think he's like, his friendships are so important to him that he treats them like his partner. You know, it's like they are his, like, romantic, and then she's sort of like his sexual partner or the mother of his children. Like, that would make the woman one of those two things. Because otherwise, why is he not more interested in what she's like or what she feels like or what she's doing or what, like, he doesn't seem interested in her or interested in women like that, other than, like, sexually, potentially, which we don't even really know that to be true necessarily, but potentially sexually, and certainly in terms of, like, should have her so we can have kids, you know?
Right. It's a weird, it all felt weird. And I know, you know, you can say maybe people are nervous on TV But it felt like more than that. It was just, it made me sad the way they related to each other. It was just depressing and felt kind of soulless, honestly.
Definitely. Yeah. And definitely, I think he's traumatized too, like, but from loss. So like there's a specific kind of trauma there, but like I think he is also very childlike. So that probably also is an element of it. But I agree. It felt there's something not happening there for him. There's a lack of fulfillment. Either that, like a lack of fulfillment that's even possible because of his trauma, or childlike wonder that he's still stuck in, lack of wonder, frankly, or like a type of fulfillment that he hasn't found yet because he's repressing something, like repressing homo-romanticism or even potentially being gay. And of course, it would be like fully repressed, like unaware of it. But I think it could be there too. I think that's like whatever it is, something's unfulfilled. So I think he has a journey ahead.
He does, and we wish him his best. And I mean, yeah, we wish him the best and his best, that he can be a better version of himself. I guess we didn't talk much about Madison and Alex. And what did you think of, was that her name? Madison, Molly. So when in the pods, I didn't like her very much. And I couldn't tell what that was with me. I actually did find some of her behavior to be slightly, I found it confusing and a little, I don't know that she was aware of what she was enacting, but it felt like when she felt people pulling away, she got them in and was like, so weird. He said I was his number one. And I was like, I kind of think you were in on that. And I didn't love it. Yeah. And there were parts, and Alex was weird too, because it sounds like she has some like maybe DID or some dissociative stuff. Not DID, sorry, that's way too strong. No. She has some dissociative stuff going on for her because of her trauma. And he was so weird about it. There's like, and his whole shtick was weird too. I found some of her stuff to be tough. I found Alex to be very tough, and it seems like his shit got even more tough as they got off camera. But there was a lot there.
Do you know his history? Have you heard about what came out about him?
No, what came out about? Was it on TV? Okay. Did I miss it?
It was not on TV. It was on like other things, social media. I will say trigger warning because it's pretty disturbing, but he essentially was like predatorial towards younger women. Like once he graduated high school and like had his glow up, which he refers to in the show, he started like still dating like 16-year-olds while he was like 19 and like sort of doing this like blurry line consent issue stuff where like they were clearly too young, and he was like going to high schools to like look for women. He at one point was like dating one example was like he was dating a 20-something-year-old and they saw like a 14-year-old at the mall, and he was like, you should dress more like her, like with her midriff showing, and was like, you should dress more like her. And so like kind of cueing his girlfriend, multiple girlfriends came out and were like, so he used to be one girl was like, he was my roommate and he used to get young girls drunk, get them alcohol. They were not of age, get them alcohol, get them drunk. Like, so there's some real predatory things that he was accused of doing. And I think a lot of that comes from his trauma of like not being cool and getting bullied, like that then he had a fixation on the women he couldn't get, which were the ones that were 14 to 16, because that was the age he couldn't get with women. And so I understand a little bit of where it comes out of, doesn't make it okay. And I certainly think the way he treated Madison had a lot of flavors of that kind of a dynamic where he still feels like the upper hand over women. That's just like a part of what came out of that dynamic, I think, in my opinion. I think it's sort of like incel stuff where it's like blaming women for not liking him. And so then it comes out as like anger at women. And so he has some shit to work through for sure. Totally agree with that. I also think she at the reunion was much more on point with me. Like I totally agree. I think in the pods, she pulled some things where I was sort of like, I kind of want to like save you from this right now because you are not helping yourself. There were some definite moments where I definitely was like, that's a bummer. I think particularly with Mason. I think she was particularly tough with Mason, and I felt sort of badly for him. He has other shit I don't care for one way or the other, but I do think there were moments where I was like, okay, but you told him that you needed him to commit to you or else you were going to go. So like, how do you expect he's going to respond? And then of course he's going to tell you you're number one, and then of course he's going to go back on it when you then come back in and tell him you think it's not authentic, and then or tell him wild. You're leaving.
It was such a relational trap, and I was like, what the fuck? And to be honest, I think there is another intellectual mismatch there where I don't necessarily think that, well, he said as much, so I don't want to be mean, but like it didn't feel good to watch for me. Like Yeah.
I will say when she described it in the pods about what happened, I was like, that is not what happened. That is not what happened. When she was like, well, it's just that it's just that he went back on it, and that's really what upsets me. I was like, no, it's not. Like, that's not even. But then when she said it at the reunion, I was like, that's it. She got it. She figured it out. What the problem was that she was hurt by Mason keeping Meg after he told her that she was his number one. So it wasn't that he went back on it. It's that she was expecting Meg to come back in crying. And when Meg didn't come back in crying, she was like, he lied to me. So like now I'm going to trap him and make him look like a dick. And that's what she did. And then she got mad at Alex for not understanding how rude that was. But it wasn't what you said he did that was rude. What was rude was that he made you think, but didn't say, but made you think he'd break up with Meg. And then when he didn't, you felt played. And like that's all it comes down to. And that is shitty, but that's not the same thing she's saying in the pods. And I think she felt like she didn't have a right to say that because he didn't say he'd break up with her. He just sort of was like, well, now you're my number one. And it implied he'd break up with her. So I think she felt like an idiot because she didn't actually get the agreement to that, but then felt jealous. So then she didn't feel like she could say that or whatever. I get where it came from, but I also felt like good for her for doing the fucking work in between and coming back and saying what was really going on. I was like, that's it. Thank you. Like, I felt really good about how she did processing the processing she did and what she brought in. I thought she was really growing.
It isn't interesting how women who maybe have things to reflect on, like, oftentimes do it. And then you see these fucking men, not to be so binary and like shaming of men, but like
gender oppressive.
Came back and like they're just in the same place. And Molly, even from in the pods to the next time she saw Lauren was such a ride or die girl's girl. It was incredible. And I think she reflected on how she acted. Not that she acted good or bad, but she was upset and hurt, and that makes people a little petty or whatever. But like she came back and was like, I'm gonna ride for this person who was so kind to me, and it was lovely. And I think that trajectory continued. So
yeah, I totally agree. I think Madison and Molly were really girls, especially come reunion. They had like really shaped up. And I think some of it is like them going out together and drinking, having fun together. I also liked that Molly came out as bi. I thought that was fantastic. I was like, okay, let's do it. I think they're great. I love them together as friends. I love how they stood up for each other. I love how Madison stood up for Monica. Like each of the moments, there were moments upon moments when any of them could have sort of betrayed each other for a guy or what, like, you know, the way that Molly was like talking to Dave easily could have hit on Molly, was about to, and Molly was like, stop right there, let me tell you what you're doing wrong. What the fuck were you doing with Lauren? And it just like those micro decisions were like just such like good feminist. I was like, this is the reunion we've been looking for. This is the right kind of like women supporting women. It's not just sort of like fleeting or based on show time, airtime, or, you know, like, or technically still kind of serving the men. Like this wasn't like kind of serving the men. This was like the women, you know. I loved it.
It was great. It was so good. There was one other thing I wanted to bring up that I think we've talked about before. Oh shit, where did it go? I went too far.
The sock drawer? The sock bin? The fam jam?
The sock. Oh, and then the top 5 moments.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Top 5s were a total thing. We had, so the top 5, number 5 was Chelsea and Jimmy when they talked about Megan Fox, her looking like Megan Fox. I actually was glad they used this moment because then everyone got to be reminded of the fact that she said the only reason people say this is because of my dark eyes and my dark hair and my eyes, which I already knew at the time. Like people gave her such a hard time about saying she looked like Megan Fox. I was like, she didn't really say that. She said she gets that because of her hair and her eyes. She even says, I don't get why people say that. But anyway, that was good. Did you feel that way? Did you see that season?
I did. I think it served 2 purposes for her in that moment. I think saying look even a little. I think she had dual motives.
Purposeful. Yeah.
Yes.
Purposeful
I
reference.
do not think she deserved the flack she got. I thought it was pretty cruel, actually. I didn't like it at all.
No, it's hurtful as fuck. I mean, it gave everyone an excuse to say she's ugly.
Yeah. And by the way, Jimmy is no like fucking
spring chicken. No, thank you. Yeah, spring chicken is about age, I guess, but still, he's no dime piece is exactly right. No, thank you. And he was kind of a dick. I don't need any of it.
A dick. I couldn't stand him.
I couldn't either. He did not like her, and he acted like he did, and it was so much more gaslighty than anything. It was so gross. I hated that. Not the guy to get advice from. Let me say that. The second one was Taylor and Garrett. Did you get why they did that one? I was like, what the fuck? It was about how Garrett had like a latent fashion interest and came back glowed up.
I think he looked better, maybe, but it wasn't really a moment. It could have been an Instagram picture. Like it just wasn't.
Yeah, silly. I guess the point is like these were voted on, and I didn't really clock that right away. So I think that helps. It helps it make it more understandable. It's probably more about fan favoritism because it's a recent season, like Taylor and Garrett. So they got number 4. Number 3, I think her name was Laura. She was the one who was dating that asshole Jeremy, who was also kind of sleeping with Sarah Ann or kind of interested in Sarah Ann still, and she caught him on the fact he had his dress turned on.
Wild.
Oh
my God.
Yeah. Oh my God. He was so silly. He was so silly. I was like, get this guy out of here. Number 2 was Lauren Speedman and Cameron, who always will be a fan favorite of mine as well. That they were the first ever couple to come out of Love is Blind, first season ever, and still together, and just the best biracial couple. I love, and it doesn't just because they're biracial, but also their biracial identities are absolutely a huge deal, and I love it. I love the two of them together. They're fantastic. Number 2. Number 1 was, you are going to choke. You're going to need your EpiPen when you see what you missed out on. Which was Jessica talking about when Jimmy said no to her in favor of Chelsea because she knew or thought she was hotter than Chelsea, frankly. Which was hurtful. What?
Yeah. I put something on this moment.
Oh, good.
I think,
yeah.
I feel like this is framed as like a feminist win or something. Like, she's just self-love, and I hate it. And I wished like the producers. I don't know who I wished. I think we're on the same page. We may have talked about this before. I have no idea, no memory.
So.
But it's mean. She was saying mean. You're gonna choke because I'm hot as fuck.
Yeah.
And she's less hot than me. And that is mean. And then she tries to flip it later in the season and make it seem like she's a girl's girl. And I'm like, what is happening? That was, I think where the...
Yeah. We talked about that part during Perfect Match that we both were like, how did she get the girls girl edit? Like, that's kind of confusing. But it's because when she's alone with women, that's what I think I ended up figuring out. Was like when she's alone with women, she does a good job of like being respectful of other women. But when it's 2 women and a guy, or she's with a guy alone talking about another woman, it is not respectful.
That was so mean.
It's so self-serving. Yeah, it's so fucked. I know. I hated it. I hated when she said it at the time. I hated that it's number 1. I hated that when she was brought back on to talk about it, she made it about self-love. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. What I think she should have said was, this came up in a context where, like, I really wish that I had been clearer that I didn't mean it comparatively. That I was just saying, like, he's going to miss out on a hot bitch, like, regardless of who she is, or regardless of the fact there's another one involved. Like, I wish I'd made that clearer, because the way that it reads now, it looks like maybe I was saying that about her, and I honestly love her, and maybe, and that's even taking it back, which is a lie. So, like, maybe that's not better, but at least I wish she had brought up in some way that that's an issue. That is an issue that you said that. It was not just self-serving. It was also in putting her down.
I feel really bad for Chelsea.
Me too.
Mean, she was very annoying on the season.
She's a little obnoxious,
Yeah. And I think the gaslighting that she was experiencing did not bring out her best traits. And people just shat on her, man. It was awful. I really feel for her.
She's so strong. Like, the way she would the way she was at Reunion, the way she was talking about it, I was like, good for her. Like, she's really saying, like, fuck these people. They don't know me. I don't need them to know me. Like, her it seemed genuine. It seemed genuine, her ability to be like, I don't fucking care. And if that is genuine, I'm very impressed. And I definitely think she shouldn't care, because fuck that. That is so rude, and people are so mean, and they don't need to be. And she is hot shit. And also, she's funny, and she's hardworking, and she's, oh my God, I can tell I'm
beautiful.
Oh my God. Yeah, she's beautiful. Exactly. She is hot. And I also get the fucking Megan Fox reference. Like, I think it looks different in person, probably too, but also I get it. She has like a similar face frame, and her hair color and her eye color. So, you know what I mean? All this hurtful shit, it just doesn't need to happen. And the fact that Jessica's comments and how she treated her in the pods and how Jimmy treated her led to that treatment of Chelsea, that should have been something that Jessica brought up at some point, and she never did, ever, about how, like, her own behavior fed into that.
It 100% did. And she was so flirty with him, but then had a different moment at a bar that was like, I would never, it was like, you were about to. We watched the same tape. Yeah, they were about to, like, get it on. Like, there was tension there, and I was like, what the fuck? And by the way, Jimmy, like, not the guy.
Not the guy.
Not impressed.
Not the guy.
Ugh.
Not the guy. And certainly attitude-wise and, like, maturity-wise.
Ugh.
I also don't think
fake.
looks-wise, but all of it.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
All of
Yeah.
it. All of it.
Fucking no motherfucking thanks. So I love that. We both agree about the order of those things too, because I hated that was number one. I will say that Ollie and AD coming out and it turns out they're engaged, and in the face of Perfect Match. I can't wait for the next Perfect Match season because I love Ollie and I love ID and I love that they're together and I love their proposal. It felt very like him taking advantage of fame, but I don't care because I love them. I love them. I'm with it. Get it.
AD all day. Love her.
She's fantastic. And I really do like him. Like, I was not on board with him in the pods of Love is Blind British version, but once he came out and we got to know him more on the ADHD, and I actually was like, okay, I think I can get there with you. I do like you a little bit more. But now seeing how he is with AD, I just really love that. I will say his facial expression, watching back the video of them getting engaged, I think he was being self-critical, but he looked judgmental. Like, he was like looking at the video judgmentally. And I think it was about himself, like looking at his outfit or something. But he definitely was like, ugh, like that kind of thing. I was like, okay, shit. So I don't know. That made me right, exactly. And it clued me into like his focus on fame and how he looks. That's what it made me think about. So I think there is that element. Yeah, there is that element. But I do think that she will make him a better person all day long. And I think they're great together, seemingly. They also had the like first musical performance, which we already talked about, and then the sock bin. And that was like so unnecessary. Like, I think it's really cute they brought it back. That's so cute. But the like everybody throwing a sock didn't feel like the right use of it. Like, I felt like we should have done something else. Like, everybody brought a sock. We had everybody bring in a sock and we're going to guess whose is whose or something. Like, we're going to pick one out randomly and we all have to guess whose it is. Maybe just once or something. I just think everybody throwing it into the sock bin seemed like, I don't know. It just wasn't it. Yeah. I just was like, okay, so we're like, it's not it for me. The fam jam, loved that. I loved ending with the fam jam. Cute. I like everybody gets an instrument. Cute. We're hitting the triangle. I'm in it. That's good. Yeah.
Adorbs. Closing pulse better than the sock bin.
Yeah. And I like the sock bin as a concept. Like, we talked about that too here in our household. And I've seen like shows, like British shows, for example, where like the daughters are wearing their dad's socks. Like, I get that like people, there are families that have that sort of dynamic where socks are just an extra piece of clothing. It's like a shirt, like a sweatshirt or something. And I totally do understand that. Not my jam personally, something I would never ever do. But I also didn't have anyone in my family who was the same gender and age as I was. So maybe that's why. But I still think it was cute they brought it up, but I don't think that was the way to do it, I guess. What do you think about sock bin? Did you have a sock bin? Does your family have a sock bin?
No, we were not that kind of family. That I would steal people's socks because I didn't give a fuck. I was a mismatched sock kind of kid. And my family members would get annoyed with me for doing that because I didn't want to like find my own socks. So I guess I made my own self-imposed sock bin, but they were not about that life. They were like, Ray, you stole my socks again. What the fuck? That was kind of the vibe.
I love it. That's so funny. Oh my gosh. That makes me want to fucking buy you some socks. It's like a joke gift at some point in your life. I'm just gonna get you more socks.
I'll lose them. I'll love them and lose them very quickly. And lose them. But
I'll make them mismatch.
And now Jazzy's complicit because she'll just steal my socks, and then it's like, oh well, she finds her way.
It's nice. You're the perfect mom for that because you're like, I don't give a fuck. I'll wear this one to that one.
Exactly. Yeah, doesn't matter.
I love it. Oh, fabulous. Well, that was fun. We are still going to do a do's and don'ts, and the do's and don'ts will have a lot of Madison, Alex, and Meg and Mason in them because that's some of the do's and don'ts of the pods. That's our next Love is Blind podcast. I think next time we're going to do awards show and then do the do's and don'ts, maybe, and then Beverly Hills.
Love it. Yay! Can't wait.
So check us out on social media and on Patreon. First, I'll tell you about Patreon. Patreon.com/realitytest. Or you can look up @realitytest with the @ symbol on our like search bar thing of Patreon. Check us out. It's like $5. It's only $5 for your monthly subscription. And you get all sorts of like goodies, including the full video episodes. And you can see my sweaty upper lip that I fixed 5 minutes ago because you won't be seeing that on the video excerpt that we put on YouTube. Whereas also you can find our video excerpts, which are about a half hour of the episode. You can find that at Reality Test Pod with the @ symbol on YouTube channel. That's our YouTube channel. We're also on Facebook at Reality Test Pod, but that's our name of our Facebook page. You can find our other social media stuff on Instagram at Dr. Kpods and at Dr. Raypods, and on TikTok at Dr. Reality REALITV. And I'm bringing these things up because I'm also going to remember right now that we have an email. So email us if you have things to say. We want to hear about it. We want to hear your thoughts. Our email is realitycheckpodding, BODDING, at gmail.com. Always welcome to interact with us on any of those things. I have a video coming out with Alan, an Alan Cumming supercut. I did an Alan Cumming supercut from the season 3. So it's like all of the like little moments that were so funny. So you'll see that soon. Come check it out.
Cannot wait.
We love to see you.
We do. And don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, tell all your friends so we can keep doing this thing we love. Please follow us on Patreon. I'm not desperate. I'm chill, but we would love if you
so chill about it.
I'm so chill and easy breezy, but like, do it, you know? I mean, do what you want, consent based. It would mean a lot for us if you would do that thing. Please and thank you.
Come join Daisy D and Jerry Lawrence, which we have not brought up your names actually in a while. So this is a shout out to our first 2 members. We still really appreciate you deeply. And friends, you know what? They both got free memberships because we were giving away free memberships to the first people. Randomly was the idea if enough people joined us, so they automatically got free ones. So that would probably be you too, because we're giving away like 5 free or actually it was gonna be 4, but we'll do 5, fuck it, free memberships to the 3rd tier. So you would get in that and you know, why not do that? Why not get a year free? And you can do that if you join us soon. So come check it out. Talk to you soon. Oh yeah, see you next session. Bye friends.
Bye.